Greetings, this is Faolan, and welcome to my top 5 games of 2022. It's funny, I started off most of this list as the year went on with just like 2 entries. Just 2 entries. And it's only over the last, I'd say month or so that I've actually filled up the list to the point where I had more than 5 entries. I spent the majority of the year going, oh god, I've got 2 entries here, so I can't just do what I did with Animal Crossing and I said, really I've only got one game this year, but because I've got 2 that I feel strongly about. So what, do I do my top 2 games of the year or what? That seems a bit weird. 5 is a nice number. So I spent most of the year like thinking, what can I do? What can I throw on this? But then, near the end of the year, I had one and another and another and another entries to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to sit back and really think about what's going on this. Because all these entries are good, but what makes the most sense? And one of the ones, weirdly enough, that missed it was the Digimon X. So this is going to be an honorable mention before we get into the bulk of the video. The Digimon X, this is the first time I've ever owned one of these where I didn't give up with it after about a week. For one major reason, you can pause it. Because quite frankly, these Tamagotchi things are more demanding than real life pets. You can leave a pet for an hour or so while you go shopping, go to school, obviously school takes longer than an hour, go shopping, go to school, go to work, go to college, record a video, take a shower, take a shit, without getting back to it and finding that it either shat itself to death because you left it alone for too long, or it got so lonely in the 5 minutes it was left alone that it just died of depression. But these ones, you can shove them in the freezer. That's right, Digimon, digital monsters, they're not real animals. You can shove them in the freezer to pause, like you would do a computer or a camera. I don't know why it's a freezer, but it's fucking funny. But you can shove them in a freezer and it can be in there indefinitely. My little crow boy has been asleep for several months at this point because I'm done with it. But should I want to go back to it at any point? I have all the Digimon unlocked. I'm like, hello crow boy, how's it going? Like, oh shit, I haven't seen you since fucking February. I know, right? It's been great. It's nice to see you. What's changed? Well, the months. But it's great. You can go back to it and play it when you want, when it works for you. And when it doesn't work for you, in the fridge you go. On top of that, it's also got a quest mode. So it's not very long. I think there's like 20 odd, maybe a bit more quests where you go in there, you beat a bunch of Digimon, you get an item. It's simple, but it does add a sense of progression because as you go through these, you unlock different Digimon in order for that your creature can turn into. So it's nice. It's nice. It's a little bit of a gamify aspect to it with the quest mode, and you can pause it. It is because of the pause feature though that this is the best version of that I've ever had. It's not one I'm going to get bored with after a week because, well, not bored with, sick of. I only got bored with this once I finished the quest mode and then just kind of got the Digimon the max level and max evolution, and it was just a matter of just taking care of it until it decides to die. And I'm like, no, I like this dude like this. I'm going to keep him. My first Digimon didn't die, got him to max level, he's a cool crow boy, I like Crowmon or whatever the hell it was at the time. And yeah, let's leave him at that. I'll go back to it at some point. So that, honorary mention, it just missed the list. It was really fucking good.
Drugs are funny.
To understand this game's humour, you need basically a degree in theoretical physics. And I'm not continuing on with that meme. I did not expect to put this on the list. I was playing it in stream and thinking, the humour in this game is going to get boring. It's going to get really boring, it's going to get really tiring, it's really predictable. In fact, there was a moment in the stream where we're getting ourselves covered in this yellow goop that the aliens use for their armour. And I'm like, who wants to bet that it's alien cum or shit or something like that? We walk over and it's alien shit. There we go.
You're gonna get covered in goop. That's just how it goes.
What is the goop?
So you want some goop, right?
Who bets that the goop is like jizz or poo or something like that from some alien creature. Yeah, fuck me. Okay then, I'm not looking up. No, don't make me look. Ah! Don't make me. Why did it make me look up?
Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking throw up. Okay.
And then later on, after the stream, I was playing it the other day, and I see this guy in the fucking main hub area, and he's selling something. What's he selling? He's selling alien cum. That's just how obvious the humor in this game is. It's very early 2000s adult cartoon. And by adult cartoon, I mean extremely fucking juvenile. Drugs. Sex. Poopy. Cum. Like, that's the humor. And Rick and Morty, I honestly feel, is better than that. But I think it's just the animation and the voice acting in general that it's not really better than that. I think when you kick back and look at it, it really is just the same kind of, you know, Family Guy, American Dad style humor. Where it's just gross things and private things are funny, and that's kind of it. Now, I like Rick and Morty, and I really like this game, hence why it's on the list. But the humor is... I've not got bored of it yet, but let's just say that I'm not laughing out loud the majority of the time. There are some funny moments, and there are also some moments that are funny because I predicted them way ahead of time, and it's fun to stream. The reactions people have to things like that. It's funny, but your mileage with the humor may vary. In fact, I think a lot of people will find themselves groaning at this game and thinking it is incredibly juvenile, because it is. What really sets High on Life apart is the gameplay. It's really good. Like, the selling point of this game is, hey guys, it's Rick and Morty the video game. But in reality, the real good thing about this game is the gameplay. The gunplay is fantastic. Taking on these, like, the bosses are great. I found myself, I've taken on, I think, like 5 bosses at this point, maybe 4. And every single one of them have been an absolute blast with just enough challenge where I died a few times, but every time I died, I'm like, okay, that's my fault. It's got that level of challenge where I'm playing on normal, and I'm shit at video games, so your mileage again may vary, but it's just right for me. The combat and the gunplay is fan-fucking-tastic. It is so satisfying using these weapons, and you're giving them at a nice pace. So, because the weapons aren't just point and shoot, there's more complicated aspects to them. The first one's basic. It's a slime glob. It goes and it sends people in the fucking air, and they slow down. You can shoot them. I got the Needler from Halo next, which, again, needles, after so many, they explode, but she also has a time vortex where you can slow things down. Well, one thing you can do is you can combo them. So, time vortex, slow things down, swap over to the other gun, fire the globule, they go up in the air, you fill them with things. There's so many ways to kind of play with them in the middle of combat just between those two guns. But then you get another gun, and this another gun is this, my favourite character in the game, this chill-ass frog boy shotgun that can fire a goddamn laser disc, but that laser disc you can also fire in certain services to use as a platform. So some platforming is in the game where you're slowing down time as you jump. You're slowing a platform to prevent it from moving on, so you can jump on it. And then as you're jumping, you're swapping over to you're swinging, and then you're swapping over to another weapon to fire a slime globule at a platform to knock it back. And then as you get to that, you jump next. You're swapping over to the shotgun for the disc to land in the wall, so you can grab on that and go up. So it's not got that complicated yet, but it might do as the game goes on. But there is elements of that where you're swapping between weapons as you're doing the platforming. But you're also doing that in combat. Every single one of these weapons has the base fire and then unique aspects, and it's really fun to mix and match and combo and jump from one weapon to the other. And it's fast paced, but not too fucking fast paced for me, because again, I'm shit at video games. And it's great. The gunplay is fantastic. The variety of weapons. There's only 4 of them I've got so far, and I think there's only 4 in the game, because there's up, down, left, and right selections, and then in the shop there's like 4 color-coded panels where you buy the upgrades. So I think I have them all at this point. but they're fun, and I do like the personalities of them. Except Morty, the first one you get has Morty's voice, and he's Morty. He's Morty. He's just Morty, and he's annoying. I like playing this game. It makes me understand Rick and the way he treats Morty, because Morty is a whingy bitch. But the other ones are cooler. But yeah, it's mainly the gunplay. It's mainly the gameplay, and on top of that, I'd rather play this than Borderlands for one major reason. Two major reasons. One, there's less busy work with the traveling. There's less bullshit going around basically an empty area doing fuck all. When you're traveling, it's big enough where it feels legit, but it's enclosed enough where it's like you can see where the fuck you're going, and you can go off the beaten track a little bit and explore. But you still know where you're going. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's just right. The only kind of major weak point I think of the game is the music. It's really basic, it's super forgettable, and I think a good synthwave soundtrack or something where they really pump up like the 50s, 40s like sci-fi comic book cheese, you know, like the woo kind of stuff, that would have worked. But the music is just kind of really bland, really forgettable. In fact, one point in the stream, I shoved on the Doom music during combat, and it was way better.
Naive people like you, they get killed by sparks genius loud. What the fuck?
Oh, this is much better. Much better. This is the high-octane bullshit that I crave. Let's go.
It fit like the high-paced action of the combat of the game. The music just lets it down. If it had better music, it would severely elevate the game. But overall, it's really good. The gunplay is great. A lot of the dialogue again is hit and miss, but unpredictable. But it is the gameplay itself. What you're playing a video game for like this, it's good.
The game is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. Bright colors. Like, the environment is full of shit to look at. Memorable character designs. Very, very good in the design aspect. Na, 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 na. I wish, like, the basic gameplay music was like this as well. It would be more enjoyable, but nah. You're better off replacing it with the Doom soundtrack. Or anything else, really. Some good, like, metal synthwave will go well with this. I thought of Splatoon when I first saw that city as well, and I know I'm not the only one. Na, 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 na. It's also nice to see baddragon.com get some representation in the game, because that first gun and her, they just look like a baddragon.com dildo. Yeah, I saw that thing. It scared the shit out of me. Came out of nowhere. Very good game. I cry when angels deserve to die.
Sorry. The devil took me. This fucking game. I love rhythm games. I love them. Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm is coming out next year. We're getting a new one of those. Woohoo! I am so fucking excited for that. I love rhythm games. I love Hatsune Miku and Project Diva. I love Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm. And there's so many. Oh, I'm not used to headbanging like that. There are so many rhythm games I love. It's one of my favourite genres. The problem with them is the vast majority of the time they've got rap music or pop music or some lowest common denominator Ed Sheeran bland ass bullshit, right? This game says fuck you, it's time to rock. And they've got a bunch of names from the goddamn media, including the dude from System of a Down. I forget his name. Is it Serge Shaj or something like that? I forget it now. And it's just, you fire your weapons to the rhythm of the fucking music. As you do good, the goddamn music kicks in. And it is so fucking epic. I am motivated by music. I've mentioned this before. One of the biggest things that have helped me stay in shape, that has helped me keep fit, that has helped move myself, is music. I walk to the pace of the music. System of a Down, Linkin Park, fucking like Ghost Data, Breaking Benjamin. These are all things I've been listening to recently. Evanescence, Nightwish, all this kind of shit. And I'm just going to the pace of the music. I've been commented that I march. Apparently, when I move, I fucking march. Super focused, super. I guess one person could say intimidating, but I fucking go. And music is a major motivator for me. I am fueled by it. So when I play a game. And you can see how motivating music is for me, because it's one of the things I always bring up in games and have done for a few years now. With this game, you jump in, you're killing demons, and you're shooting to the fucking rhythm. It's so much more than just a bland, basic-ass shooter. You're shooting to the rhythm of this fucking amazing music, and every goddamn metal track in the game is a goddamn banger. To like you're to the rhythm, you're swapping between different weapons, you're finishing off with you know, certain kills, and when you get it off and you're flying around, you're zipping around, you're shooting to the rhythm, you're swapping to weapons, and then like the boom boom, you know, like, and then you'll swap to the fucking sword, you use a special, and then the fucking the special is you just attack fast, but then the music kicks up in it, so you're like do 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 as the fucking solo play. Oh, it's so good. Can you tell how hyped I am for this game? And it ends with a cliffhanger that basically says, look guys, we would love to do one of these where the unknown, the main character, assaults heaven. Please, we would love to do one. We don't know if it'll ever happen. It might not, but we would love to do it. That's essentially what the ending is saying. It's like a message from the developer saying, please, please, we would love to do another one. And honestly, dude, I would love to see another one with a bunch more names from the industry. It was so good. It was short. There's about 5-6 levels, and each of those have different difficulties, and if you do them in different difficulties, you can unlock different skins, and there's then a bunch of challenge modes. It's really short, but fuck man, what a blast. It's just high octane metal fucking heaven mixed with a rhythm game. It was made for me. It is so fucking metal and epic, and the feel of it does not come across unless you play it. And oh, and the best thing as well, the music in the game, they even stated it's copyright free. You're fine. It's got like a share license or something like that, so you can put it on YouTube and you should be fine. You should not get any copyright strikes or anything like that, so it's fine for streamers to play. They thought of that. Brilliant. Geniuses. Fantastic. I wish more people were like that. I could not support this game. Like it needs more recognition, it needs more love, and I'm hoping I see some of it on other people's top lists this year, because it is just a metalhead gamer's wet dream. It's so fucking cool. I've not been this hyped for a metal game since Brutal Legend, and that game is a lot more slower paced than a metal game really should be, and I love it, but still,
I tell you, it takes a lot of rage to stare across 8.
I love the Southern American accent as well. Like it just sounds right to me. I love pretending that I can speak that way, like, and I love hearing it. It's just a pleasant accent. The music are just bangers all the way through. Fucking incredible soundtrack. I love the main character as well. She looks so cool.
I'm just a fan.
You can see the rhythm there. Yeah, like rhythm shooter, man. Such a badass idea. Super satisfying. If you love metal, you have to play this. So good, man. So good! Yes! Look at that fucking talent right there. Stanley decided to sit down and watch the whole video. It was a long video, but he's sure that he would enjoy it.
Faolan sat there and he wondered, why did he make these videos? Was there someone out there screaming in the void that was listening to him? Or was it simply one Burr person watching him and being entertained while everyone else just gave him a pity viewing? Why did he record these videos? He sat there, talking to himself, wondering, the only thing that could make me happier right at this moment is a bucket. But alas, he did not have a bucket. He had ordered one from Amazon, but it had not yet arrived. Then suddenly, upon thinking about the bucket, he realized it was in his heart this entire time. It was inside him. In essence, part of him was, in fact, the bucket. He reached down, deep, deep down inside, and he found himself true friendship. The greatest friend a man could ever ask for. For he had the bucket. The bucket was inside of him. It was part of him, forging him on. A place to put all of his deepest, darkest secrets, where it could be held safely, never to hurt himself or anyone else. The bucket was life. The bucket was true friendship. The bucket was love. The Stanley Parable Deluxe Edition. When the Stanley Parable first came out, it was the first game in the walking simulator genre to actually not be a joke. Walking simulators at the time were asset flips, lazy, simple, just cash grabs, or they were essentially a political or ideological agenda pedestal for somebody to scream their beliefs from the rooftops. That's kind of all they were. The Stanley Parable changed that. It turned them into something that was fun to play. That wasn't just walking around looking at stuff. There was interactable moments, but it was an interactive picture book, an interactive like story, more than just walking, reading things. It was genius. Absolutely ingenious. And as time has gone on, I found myself appreciating it so much more. And the Deluxe Edition is, quite frankly, one of the most poignant games that have come out in the last several years. They added a lot to it, including the best friend in the world, the bucket. They added a lot to it. But what they really added is, on top of more features, is more poignant commentary on gamers themselves and the gaming industry. And it's legit. It's a loving piss take at a lot of the common tropes and trends within gaming culture and the gaming industry and gamers themselves. And it's made with so much love and so much care and so much attention, and definitely needs your time. The trailer we're going to look at after this does not do it justice. It is a game that can only be experienced by playing it. It is more of an experience than anything. And especially if you are a gamer and have been for many years, it is one you need to check out. It is a work of art. It is a testament to what walking simulators can be, and its very existence, because it's a port, it's a remake with just a few tacked-on additions. Its very existence takes the piss out of games that do that same fucking thing, and it does it so well. It's brilliant. It is artistic, writing, voice acting genius, and it deserves your attention.
It's about right, yeah. You're best playing it. Describing it does not do it justice. This trailer does not do it justice. You just have to play it.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-ripping, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in.
Again, it's video game player, developer, and community kind of like culture commentary, and it's fucking hilarious. It's so funny. There's even a segment in the game where you have to save a baby in a mini-game segment, and if you do it for, I think, over an hour, you get like an extra bit of dialogue or an extra ending or something like that. There's a billion different endings. There's so many different endings. A billion, I'm exaggerating. I think there's like 20 odd. But, yeah. And then there's the bucket versions of the endings as well. Let's watch it with a pal.
Oh, come now. You don't want it to end already, do you?
I never want it to end.
Yeah.
Me and my bucket, forever, forever. Forever, forever. The end is never the end, 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 is never the end. Such a good fucking experience. I love it. Love it so much. Praise be to the bucket. What is a man? A miserable pile of little secrets. But enough of this. Have at you.
49 hours. When can you honestly say that you've spent, what, like £1-2 for 49 hours of incredible entertainment? Vampire Survivors. This game blew me away. I bought it on a whim because of the price. It showed up in every single Steam Deck, like, recommendation. Like, what games are really, really good to play on the Steam Deck? And this came up every single fucking time, in like almost every list. Vampire Survivors. I thought, let's give it a go, you know. Quick to install, cheap, cool. The next several hours of my life was then gone. It's addictive. It is old school, like, it's new old school. It's like a modern arcade shoot-'em-up bullet hell classic. Except you're the boss in the bullet hell. It starts off difficult. You've got a small selection of characters. I could barely last 15 minutes. And as you're doing it, you're getting money, you're leveling up weapons to evolve them, and you're slowly making progress and unlocking new weapons, new characters, new stages, new modes, upgrades for your character. And then eventually you can go the entire 30 minutes round, no problem. And that half an hour does not feel like half an hour. That half an hour feels like 15 minutes. Because it's fucking fun. And every single time you can go in, you can try out different combinations of weapons, and you can fill the screen with bullet hell insanity, and you can feel like a fucking god. And the fact that it took you, it was difficult at the first, and then you got to the point where you were a literal fucking god, that feels great. The music's great, the character designs are great, the art's great. It's got the Shovel Knight effect of, this is how we remember these old games to be like. They're nowhere near this good, but this is how we remember them. It kicks off the nostalgia buttons whilst also being a fucking phenomenal, highly addictive game that wants you to go back for another round and another round and another round and another round and another round. On top of that, it was such a pick up and play game. I sat there watching YouTube videos or Netflix, or sat back watching television on the Steam Deck when I'm out in family's house or something like that. I'm talking as in kicking ass in this game. It really made use of the whole Steam Deck feature for me, where it worked portable, it worked home, it was fantastic. It was the perfect launch title for the deck, considering how many people are installing emulators on this thing to play old games. That works in more ways than you'd imagine. It was super addictive, and I 100%ed this game. I did everything because I wanted more. I wanted something to aim for. I wanted to unlock all the things. I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to achieve all the things. Because I wanted more. I needed another reason to go in this game and kick ass again for another round. And at the time of recording this, they have a few days ago, I think a few days ago, put DLC up. I don't know what it is. I think it's a new character and a new level. It's like £1 something. Which, again, like, this game was wildly successful. And they've put out DLC after upgrading the game, adding a bunch of characters, adding a bunch of stage, improving the art. They've put out a paid bit of DLC, small amount of money. Well, I think if this was any other company, if there's any other group, I don't know who's doing it, but if this was any other, you know they would have taken advantage of the popularity and really pushed the pricing. But they didn't. They kept it really cheap. What can you get these days for that price? You can't even really buy a bag of fucking crisps for lower than £2 fucking these days. What can you get that is going to give you near 50 hours of entertainment? Mileage may vary depending on the individual, for that price. The price is a major factor for me why this is so high, but it really is just a highly addictive, one more level. I literally sat in bed playing this thing when I should have been sleeping. This game fucked up my sleeping pattern, and I've been good for that for a while. It fucked it up for a few days because I was so addictive and I couldn't put it down. I struggled choosing between my number 1 and my number 2 game of the year. And it really came down to which was objectively the game of the year. And that's the number 1. The number 1 is the objective game of the year in my opinion. However, this, Vampire Survivors, is my game of the year. I can't honestly say it's the best. Again, that's why we have first place. But it's mine. This is my personal choice for Game of the Year. Vampire Survivors is a runaway success. It is so simple, it is so addictive, it is so fucking cheap. Hats off. You have made a fucking fantastic game here, and I wish you all the best in the future. Hey, editing Faolan here. So I actually looked into it because I was curious. It was initially $2.45, and it's since gone up to $3.99. So they have actually increased the price. On top of that, there's the DLC for £1.59. You can also buy the soundtrack for $2.49. So yeah, it goes up, but I still say most companies would sell this thing for at the very least a tenner. At the very least, I mean, shit. Look what Nintendo sells their old games for, you know. So yeah. I still think it's an absolute steal, but it's not as cheap as I made it sound in the video. So just going to correct myself on that one. Also, the second reason I'd rather play the first game over Borderlands is because Borderlands has a lot of pointless busy work. Go here, collect 10 burrasses and whatnot. I just got hung up on the goddamn travel, and I never talked about anything else. So there's 2 corrections for you. Moving on out.
God damn, this thing just starts right away. I can't just start recording, then, like, freaking play the trailer and edit it out later. It just starts, so yeah. Bit of a weird start for this one, but here we go. Vampire Survivor, killing all the bastards that will get in your way. It is Survivor, play it every fucking day. Many characters to unlock, upgrades, weapons. You will play for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and never stop. You will play for hours and never fucking stop. It will consume your fucking soul. You will never fucking escape. Da 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 da. Just look at all this shit that you get to do. Look at all these weapons. Look at all these upgrades. Look at all these enemies. Look at all those things on the screen at once. Unleash fucking hell. Be the bullet hell. Be the boss. Destroy everything. Unlock everything. Never stop playing. Your life is Vampire Survivors now. Game of the year, without question. At least for me. So I'm editing the video and it hits me just how fucking rambly I am in the Elden Ring segment. It's like I have no idea what to say and I'm just repeating the same point over and over and over and over again. And it's by far the longest segment as well because I'm just lost. So I'm going to record it. I'm not setting the whole thing up again and it's too late and so on and so forth because some of that was using natural light. So, and it's nighttime now. It is like, what, it's almost 12 o'clock. So I'm just going to cover it here. Elden Ring is objectively the game of the year. It is FromSoft's magnum opus. It feels like they've learned a lot from the past entries. There's a lot that is just added into this game as part of like a series, like remember this from the other game? Well, here it is. Now, unlike in Dark Souls 3, where that game did not have an identity of its own, it was just, hey, you remember this? Hey, you remember this? Hey, you remember this? It was like Dark Souls fanfiction. It was just an all-star cast of the bullshit from Dark Souls and Bloodborne, and even a bit, actually it wouldn't be Sekiro at that time, but Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Demon Souls and all that kind of thing just flung in there. It didn't really have an identity of its own. Elden Ring does have an identity of its own. It's not just Dark Souls. It's the equivalent of Bloodborne, where it does stand out on its own. They have taken the bell system from Bloodborne. They've taken ground summons, random invasions, and all this kind of thing. Like the different community interaction methods have all been included, so you can cater it to how you want. You don't want to stand around waiting for someone, you just want to get on with it? Cool, ring the bell. Then maybe as you're exploring, you can have an encounter with someone. Or you can have an encounter with someone you don't really want. It's a good system. It's a way of interacting with other people without just sitting around waiting ad nauseum and just trying to summon people that instantly go away. It's really nice. It's one of those little things. The layout of the map, there's a theme to it. But it's not as blatant. You're not like playing an Ubisoft game where take out the bandit camps and do this, do that. Like it's got like a specific layout where you learn it. So you know if you take down this specific kind of enemy, you're probably gonna get this kind of item as a reward. Upgrade your flasks, that kind of thing. If you go down this incline, there's a decent chance that you're gonna get a spell or maybe a unique weapon or something like that. The kind of way it's set up, it's formulaic, but it blends so well into the design of the level. It's actually kind of incredible how well FromSoft's level design has translated so fucking brilliantly to the open world. Because honestly, their best game up until a point, in my opinion, was Dark Souls. Because Dark Souls is such a perfectly crafted, interlocking web of paths up until the final end point where it's obvious that it was just kind of rushed and flung together. So whilst everything else went through a billion... Like, if you look at Dark Souls and how much FromSoft changed shit as they go along, things can be wildly different to what they're like at the start to what it is playing. And I know this is the process for every game, but for FromSoft it really does seem like this way more than is usual. So in Dark Souls, the final kind of ending areas, I forget the name of them, but the lava area and all that kind of thing, not the lava area, the rundown kind of like ashen lava area where you fight the bed of chaos and things like that. Those moments seem very rushed and haphazard. But up until that point, it's such a brilliantly crafted, interlocking web of paths. It's one of the most brilliant Metroidvania design games I've ever seen, especially for the three-dimensional space. After that, Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 went more hub-based, and then we had Bloodborne, which was similar, but it's still connected so well. I put Bloodborne and Dark Souls on an equal footing. They were the best games that like FromSoft ever made, because they both are good in similar ways. The combat in both of them is fan-fucking-tastic. The environment in both of them is fan-fucking-tastic. The level design in both of them is fan-fucking-tastic. You know, the only complaint I really had with Bloodborne is that it was really fucking limited in terms of how you could build your character. It's like, all you need to win is the axe. And I know a lot of people sign by the cleaver, but that just... the hunter cleaver or whatever it's called. But that just proves my point. You just need that. Like, there's no weapon that you can get that feels like an upgrade, and almost every weapon is basically a sword that does another thing. So the trick weapon thing doesn't really do much either. So I just went my typical halberd strategy. That was until I discovered the absolute broken bullshit that is Blood Tinge. It's one of those things where you start off weaker, and the game's harder for you, but once you get that sword, once you get that gun, you know what I'm talking about. You have got the most broken fucking build in FromSoft game history. It's insane how fucking good that Blood Tinge build is. So whilst I can play Dark Souls and I can go through that game ad nauseum and do all kinds of shit, Bloodborne is only one way to play. That's the biggest weakness of the game. But in terms of the core strengths of those games, they're fucking phenomenal, but they're not the same. Dark Souls is weighted and it's more Monster Hunter than anything. It's slow, but it's purposeful. It's heavy. It's impactful. It's like a dance. No, it's not like a dance. It's like a game of chess. Bloodborne is like a dance. Bloodborne is fast. It's fleeting. It's frantic. It's twitchy. And Dark Souls 3 tried to merge the two, and it didn't work. It does in Elden Ring. Elden Ring combat is far more heavier. You feel the weight, but at the same time, it's not as slow and cumbersome as Dark Souls combat is. The combat has never been as good in the Souls series as far as I'm concerned. It also, at least in my experience, because I've not actually finished it yet, I got up to the snowy area, it's not as spammy as Dark Souls 2 either. Now I'm using magic. I always use magic, and one of my biggest issues with Dark Souls 3 is that the way I typically play just doesn't work, because magic is useless, because the game was so sped up. The typical casting bullshit has stayed the same. It was useless in that game. You couldn't use it. It was pointless. So in Elden Ring, they sped up the magic as well. And I tell you, playing a sorcerer kind of character in that game is god tier. It's never been as broken. And yeah, I'm using the wing that does that exploding shit and so on and so forth. I'm doing the Ranni route. Ranni. Also, I've got Blybe's head on, so that's cool. I love the character designs. I love the armor in this game. I love a lot of the weapons that I've played with as well. It's got that kind of Dark Souls 2 thing where getting new shit is fun because there's so many fun shit to use and play around with before going back to what actually is working for you. It's great. It's a big open world that, much like any other Souls game, you learn. You learn how it works. There's a specific pattern to a lot of the placement of things, and you kind of start seeing it as you play. It's that learning experience. At first, you're wandering around not knowing what the fuck to do. But the great thing about it is once you know, okay, well, I know I want to go to this area right here to get a really cool starter staff. It's going to be dangerous. There's a lot of shit over there that will one-shot me, but I'm going over there because that staff is worth it and it's going to make everything else easier for me. I know that's there now. So in future playthroughs, when I'm doing this magic shit, that's where I'm going. I'm not wandering around. But at the same time, the random meandering around helps you level up, helps you get stronger. I've not hit the major wall yet. Apparently the first major wall, there's 2 of them. The first major wall is this female boss that I've not faced yet, and then there's one of the last bosses. I think it's like the first to last boss is also really fucking difficult. So I've avoided as many spoilers as possible. I've not watched any of the cutscenes. I've not looked at anything else. I've avoided as many spoilers as possible. So I don't know. And I've not played for a few months, but I'm not pulling the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous thing. Because Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous was fucking incredible. And I put that dead last. That would have been higher had I had finished it. I know enough about Elden Ring from what I've played so far to confidently say it is the objective game of the year. Even if Vampire Survivors is my personal one, this one deserves it. It's their magnum opus, and it has far less bullshit than is typical from the AAA industry these days. The worst thing I can say about it is it uses easy anti-cheat, which fucks every game up that it's on. Every game seems to have latency and lag issues because easy anti-cheat fucking chugs your system when it's used. I hate it. I'm hoping the trend of using that stops soon, but eventually they did quite quickly seem to iron a lot of that out. It had a bit of a rocky start, but they fixed it. But I blame that entirely on easy anti-cheat, because I think companies just throw that on probably because it's cheap, a cheap kind of security. That's probably why. So I think a lot of companies are just chucking that on now. But it's terrible, and it just chugs your system. I hate it. And again, the people are probably already hacking and cheating. It happens every fucking time. But I feel like I've got a fucking hair right here. But it's so fucking brilliantly crafted. It puts Bethesda to shame, because the one strength Bethesda really has is world design. And it puts them to shame. It's so jam-packed. It's so intricate. It's so detailed. It's so fun to explore. You know, it really gives you that Dark Souls of what's around the next corner. Because that was the thing with Dark Souls. One more than anything else. And Bloodborne, actually. Again, those 2 games. It's half of the reward was seeing around the next corner, because there's always something cool to see. There's always something cool to see. There's always something that makes you go, what? Makes you want to figure it out. Makes you want to read some information from the items. It's every prior Souls game mixed together, taking the best bits of it. And yeah, like I think the second complaint I would have with it would probably be the boss designs. There's like one boss I can think of the top of my head that I can remember that really stuck out to me because it was a blast, and that was the Rodan fight, where you summon like a bunch of people and you all charge up and then they fucking die, and you try and resummon them again, and you can summon Patches. He shows up, realizes where he is, and fucks off. You can just keep summoning him. It's fucking hilarious. It's great. It's such a character moment. It's fantastic. I love it so much. But it's such a spectacle. And it was difficult, but I did eventually do it. It wasn't difficult to the level where it didn't feel bullshit. That's the thing. It didn't feel bullshit. But it did feel rewarding. And it was such a spectacle. And it was such a fun fight. And at the end of it, you get what is arguably one of the coolest sets of armor in the fucking game. Or you can unlock one of the coolest sets of armor in the fucking game. It's great. It's really good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing off a lot of these character lines. I fucked up 1 or 2 of them because of the choices I've made. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. I'm going to go down Ranni's line. Unless I fuck that up, but that's the aim. And I'm enjoying my kind of like magic bullshit character. I'm assuming that when I get back, a lot of what I'm playing is going to be nerfed to high hell because magic was very good. So maybe magic is shit now. I've not looked at patch notes for ages, partly because of spoilers. But I'll know when I get back into the game. I will finish it. I'm just not making the same mistake that I made with Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. It's brilliant. It really is. It's brilliant. It's every fucking positive aspect of the previous Souls games rolled into one. It's like they really have learned. It's like they apply the feedback they get from past games and really, really put it all into this one. And yeah, like the only thing that I could say is don't use easy anti-cheat next time. and a lot of the bosses are kind of throwaway, but when there are a lot of kind of like samey, when you got a big open world that you gotta fill with shit, that's gonna happen. But yeah, almost forgot about the summon system. I love the summon system. Summoning fucking ghosts and shit. That's so cool. Summoning a pack of wolves, summoning like bosses that you've killed prior, like that's fucking cool. I am using the mimic right now, but still, that is so fucking cool. That's such a cool new mechanic. I love that so much. It's a single player, multiple NPC summon that you can use basically that costs mana. Do you know what that is? That is the hunter tool system that isn't mostly shit. The hunter tool system was mostly crap. There was like one or two that was worthwhile up until you hit the DLC. But this summon shit is fun. Every single time I get a new one, I'm like, oh shit, how does this go? What does this look like? What does this do? And I piss around with it and I use it on some random enemies. I think, yeah, use it on some random enemies or a boss or something like that. I can't actually remember I think you can use it on random enemies. I'm sure I've done that before. But yeah, it's a fun mechanic. It's really nice addition. I love the armor in the game. I love a lot of the weapons that I've used in the game. I love the NPCs, especially Ranni. Oh, Ranni. The mole guy is fucking good. Like, here's the thing with Ranni. My waifu in Dark Souls has been the goddamn, like, Priscilla, the half-breed. The fluffy tail is so fluffy. But Ranni beats her. And I'm hoping they make a model of her. She can go right next to, well, I've got Jolene down there, and I've also got Raph there. I'll find a place for her, but like she can go somewhere. I'll find a place for her. I'd love a Ranni figure. To be honest, I want the one of the doll as well, but I never did get around that. But no, like Elden Ring is fantastic, and this is by far less rambly than my other one is because I'm talking about far more things about the game. But no. It's their magnum opus. They should be damn proud of themselves for this one. And I expect this to be #1, or at least on, but probably #1 for a lot of people this year. It is fucking phenomenal. And it is objectively, as far as I'm concerned, objectively the game of the year. Here we go, boys. You maidenless lot. Speaking of soul-consuming. I will beat it. I will get around to finishing it. But I don't regret putting it in first place. It is objectively the best game of the year. I rambled a bit. I'm sorry about that. I didn't really know what to say because, yeah, it's another FromSoft Souls game, but it's done better than I think any of their other ones. Like, open world just works for this game. I don't know how it'll play later on, like, as you go back to it all the time. I don't know whether it'll feel the same, but, it's really good. I think the only thing the other games do better is, bosses. A lot of the bosses in this game are very forgettable. Except, Rodan. That was an amazing boss. I love the way Patches just shows up and then pisses off again because he didn't actually want to be summoned. That's fucking funny. But the combat is incredible. They managed to speed it up while keeping the weight. I love magic in this game. Very, very good. I love it. That's a really good fucking boss. I love that boss so much. Let's go! You maidenless lot. But yeah, I'm going for the Ranni ending for obvious reasons. I'll play through it a few times to do the different endings, so...
I pray that the guidance of grace abandons you.
Why accept the burden of their grace, or be fooled by the dogmatic ramblings of the fingers?
Ramblings of the fingers.
Against the Earth Trip.
Never met someone with a taste for
That fucking lobster! Oh my god, that thing killed me so many times.
I bid thee travel the path of the Lord. And once all is done, we shall see each other once more.
That's a cool fight as well. I enjoyed that one.
Go forth. Become Elden Lord.
It makes me want to go back to it watching that actually really, really good game. FromSoft's magnum opus, without a doubt. Fantastic. Alright, piss off. Alright. Let's address the copperager in the room. Pokemon. Now, I loved Scarlet and Violet. I really did. To me, it's the best Pokemon game we've had since ORAS. Now, I consider Black and White 2 the best main game in the series, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire to be the best remake in the series. Now, is Scarlet and Violet that good? No. But I think every game we've had since ORAS is lesser than Scarlet and Violet. And I've enjoyed a few of them, but there's been a few that I've been very disappointed with. Now, why isn't it on the list? Well, let's go through a few of the things that I really liked about Scarlet and Violet first. Consider this a post-honorary mention. I love the Legendary. And the only time I have ever loved a Legendary, or liked it enough to even use it, is back in Generation 3. I loved Rayquaza. And I loved Kyogre. In Generation 2, I adored Lugia. And that's kind of it. Every generation since Generation 3, I have either been extremely bored by the Legendary, or just it comes in way too late for me to enjoy it. The only kind of close exception to this is with Black and White 2, where you just get given one of the Legendaries and you can use it in one of the biggest fights in the game. But I use it for that and then I dump it before moving on. I don't like most Legendaries. I liked Calyrex from Sword and Shield, but that was mainly because it was fucking stupid. But by that point, I already had a fucking established team and I wasn't going to use that instead. I don't even think I would have done. But it's cool. I liked it. But, again, maybe if we got it earlier, I would have used it. The great thing about Toothless, Koraidon, Miraidon, whichever one it is, the great thing about Toothless is that he's with you for the entire game, but he doesn't take up a slot. So by the time you actually get him in-game, he's a team member anyway. He's great. He's your bro. He's your boy. He's been with you the entire time. He's got the same cat doggy mannerisms as Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. He's adorable, and you love it. You know, he's already part of the team. So, no other Legendary has really had that effect, I feel, like, ever. And because of that, I actually think Miraidon Koraidon is arguably one of the best Legendaries they've ever made. Another thing that's one of the best they've ever done is the characters. Arven, especially, Nemona and Clavel, or Clavel Director, to a lesser extent, secondary. Arven is the best character they've ever written in the series, including Black and White. He is the closest thing to a real believable person the series has ever had. He doesn't like you. He doesn't suck your toes, worship the ground you work on from the second they meet you. He's kind of a dickhead. But considering the life that he's lived, he has a bit of a right to be a dickhead. He gets shat on from a great height all the way through. And through it, he treats you like his best friend. You're the person who helped him. You're the person who saved his doggo. It's beautiful. And he ends up being like the most legit character in the goddamn series. I love him. I love quite a few of the Pokemon in this game. I don't think it's as strong as prior generations. I think generations 6 and 7 or 6, 7, and 8 have much stronger roasters. There aren't that many I'm as passionate about in this one. There's like 2. There's Clodsire, which I need a big pillow of in my life. Clodsire is adorable. I've always had a soft spot for Quagsire, and Clodsire is adorable and a much better Pokemon. And then Goldingo. A lot of people call him the cheese string guy. He looks like the cheese string guy, but he has so much personality. He surfs around on a surfboard made out of coins. He's got like this jump up in the sky animation when you set him in combat. He's great. He's got such Surfer Bro anime vibes. He's such a cool Pokemon. I actually would say he's my favorite Pokemon this generation. And considering how difficult he is to get, I made sure I trained that one I got properly because he's like a legendary and an earned one. He's got great stats, a brilliant ability. I really like his design. I adore his animations. The only thing he doesn't have is a good shiny. Or a shiny at all. He's brilliant. I adore him. Definitely the standout Pokemon from this generation. I also love Tinkaton. Tinkaton, I think, is the throw-in like #1 Pokemon this generation for most people. It's on like everyone's team. Tinkaton is a fantastic Pokemon. People go on about the stats, but when you have that big ass hammer move, you don't need the stats. Just if this Pokemon had better stats, it would be the best Pokemon in the series without question. It would be better than like every legendary to ever exist. There's nothing that could be better of it. That typing and that attack with that one move, I don't care if you have to use another move the next turn. That's really fucking good. It's already powerful. You had to balance it some other way, otherwise it would have been broken. I also really like the raids in this game. The raids are great. The raids are legit. They're so much better than the crap that was in Sword and Shield. The music is top fucking tier. Like, can we take a... That shit goes hardcore. Also, she's a full Eevee team user. My girl. My girl. And if you've seen her room is this room. Except my room's a lot cleaner. Which is saying something. But no, I love it. Like, I love the cast. I love a lot of the Pokemon. I love the music. I love the egg, the camp system. The camp system's way better than the half-assed one we got in Sword and Shield. It has a use. Breeding is brilliant in this game. The best change they've made to breeding in years. It's so much more convenient. It's so much less boring and grindy and hands-on. You just put the things in your, you put the eggs in your goddamn your team, and you run around selecting fucking raids, and you can do them between hatching eggs. You don't even have to use the Pokemon that's in your team at the time. You can just do that. You can multitask like crazy. It's not just run around the circle for hours on end while you hatch Pokemon. You can do other things to break up the grind. It's brilliant. But I can't justify putting it on the list when it has those bugs. I never experienced any of them. And I didn't even notice the latency issues, but friends I had over did, so it's just me. But the bugs are inexcusable. The latency is inexcusable. The performance is inexcusable. This is the biggest franchise in the fucking world, and the launch title from the Switch, Breath of the Wild, the launch title looks better, plays better, runs better, has less fucking bug issues than this game. It is in-fucking excusable. Why does it happen? Because Game Freak is... because Pokemon is Nintendo's Call of Duty. It comes out basically every year, or every other year, and it's not enough time to make a game like this with polish. Why? Because it has to go in the same fucking bracket, and it has to come out on the same goddamn schedule as the card game, as the TV show, as the movies, as the merchandise. It's all one big, soulless, money-making machine, and that's all it comes down to. Pokemon has no soul and has no soul for years. It's a ghost type. It is just completely soulless. And has been for many, many years. It is a pure, cold, money-making machine. And people like me support it by buying into it every fucking time. Because they're addicted to it and been playing it since they were kids. It's not going to improve. The only way for it to improve is for shills like me to start fucking buying it. But that's not happening. You know, eventually it'll go so far downhill that even people like me won't play it. And then they'll really have to get things back in the fucking saddle. But there is a really good game here. I think Rage Gaming put it the best way, where he said, this is the best worst game, or the best broken mess ever made. And it's true. Everyone says the same thing. It's really fun, but it's broken as fuck. It's broken. There's so many fucking things wrong with this game. And the world, I didn't even think about this, but I watched part of Akman's video recently, and he's right. The world is bland as fuck. It's so basic and hollow and flat and boring. It's so fucking bland, it's unbelievable. And Pokemon used to have better, although admittedly, he compared it to the first generation. Really? You're using the first generation as a better example of a world? If you put the first generation in modern world, it's not very fucking exciting. Now, Generation 3, Generation 5, Generation 7, Generation 6, way better fucking worlds. Any example other than Generations 1 and 2 would have been better. But no, like, he's right. It's really flat. The performance issues, there's no excuse. The reason why they're that way is money. Not because they want to rush the game out, but because not just because they want to rush the game out, because the game has a very limited frame of time to come out because it's on a schedule. It is impossible for Pokemon to ever be as good as it should be because it needs to come out on the same schedule as all the other money-making bullshit. That's why. It's on a treadmill. You can't jump the treadmill. You can't take more time at the treadmill. You're going where you need to fucking go. That's, sorry, conveyor belt. You're going where you need to fucking go. So, all this, that's why it's not on the list. Because it doesn't deserve to be. As much as I love it, it doesn't deserve to be. And as for Arceus, I didn't like Arceus. And I don't know why people like Arceus. It's Pokemon Go. It's the mobile game turned into a real game. You just catch Pokemon. That's it. That's all you do. There's a few combat bits thrown in there, but you just catch Pokemon. In fact, the mobile game is more of a Pokemon game than this is, because you can do more in the mobile game than just catch Pokemon and listen and read dialogue. There's not much to it. I think people like it because of the action element to it. It's this crouching and you throw Pokeballs like you're firing a fucking gun. I think people like it for that reason. In which case, there's a game coming out next year that I'm excited for called Pal World. And it's basically what would happen if Pokemon was real, and they would be exploited. They're working in chef shops. They're working in sweatshops. They're being experimented on, and they're firing guns, and you're firing guns at them. It's like a massive piss take, and it looks great. So if you like Arceus, check out that game. It looks great. But I do not like Arceus. I was bored as fuck. In fact, I was so bored I decided to give myself something to do, something to be attached to, because it's Generation 4 mostly. I don't like Gen 4. So I thought, right, fuck it. I'm going to catch myself a shiny Alpha Pokemon, and I'm going to be attached to that, and I'm going to use that as my catalyst to enjoy the game. After about a week of trying to get that, I burnt myself out and I never went back to it. So I don't like Arceus. I don't understand why people like Arceus. And if you think that's an improvement on the series, then I'm assuming you've played Pokemon only the mobile game. I don't think you've been playing Pokemon for very long at all if you think that is an improvement on the series. There's a few mechanics things. Map markers from Arceus, Scarlet and Violet could have really used. The shiny sound, Scarlet and Violet could have really used. They've just made that change for an arbitrary reason to make shinies harder to get. In fact, the shinies in this game 90% of the time are extremely subtle as well. They've done it to make them harder. It's artificial time extending. There's a few things like that. The Pokedex I'm up and down on because it just comes down to busy work. But yeah. But that's why they're not on the list. So I did love Scarlet and Violet, but it did not deserve to be on the list. Like, Elden Ring had problems when it came out as well, but they were ironed out, and overall it's a much more polished and better experience anyway. The main reason this had problems was because of easy anti-cheat, or whatever the fuck it's called, because that does it to every goddamn fucking game it's on, because it chugs the system like crazy. So yeah. But, this long-ass video aside, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching as well if you've got this far. And I hope you've enjoyed the changes I've made to the formula a little bit. I think they're a little bit more interesting than me just sat on the computer. Hope you enjoy your year. I hope you enjoy your new year. And I hope your next year is better than this one. And See you guys next time.
Okay, Yorkiemon, I need to go out for a little bit, so it's freezer time for you.